I think one of the most insane things in my mind, in my brain about any sort of like thing in the entertainment industry overall is the idea that I guess like K-pop idols or even like VTuber idols are just like simply not allowed to be in a relationship, or at least simply not allowed to be in like a public relationship in any way. And that's something that I've kind of never really understood. I know like the idea behind it is, you're supposed to sell these idols, sell these K-pop idols, these VTuber idols as people who like, are good looking, are young, attractive people who, you might wanna date in the future. And because of that, it kinda breaks the allure that the fact that they could potentially even possibly considerably be in a relationship is gonna make it so that the sales of whatever they're trying to sell go down to 0. I think that's one of the most confusing things ever, and I'm like, once again, I understand the philosophy behind it. They're literally just trying to play on these really rabid fans. Rabid's probably an aggressive way to call it. These really passionate fans who are watching these VTubers simply, or these K-pop idols, or listening to K-pop, whatever. These idols, I'm just gonna use that word from now on. They're just interacting with the media these idols put out just for the sheer possibility that they get in a relationship, and they believe that if they buy thousands of dollars worth of their merch, they can get into a relationship. And I get from a corporate perspective, but why they do it, but I also just think it's an absolutely insane thing that like people are just thinking that's like it's a fine thing to do. And I think that once again, the corporations are the kind of pieces of shit for doing it, and probably even predatory on people who are trying to just get a name out for themselves in any sort of entertainment industry. Maybe when they're especially like when they're once again younger and they might want to just once again be blinded by the fame that these contracts potentially offer. I think it's like one of the most insane things to me that I've never really gotten my head wrapped around. And I wonder once again like what the philosophy is behind it. And I wonder like how fans actually feel if like if an idol that they really love announces that they're in a relationship, because like I feel like mentally speaking, if you just think about it for 2 seconds, as like a living, breathing human being that has brains and like a single brain cell, even you can think that like, oh, this idol that I'm watching or I'm listening to their music is a human being that lives and breathes, and more likely than than not wants to be in a relationship, and is probably not just like happy being single, and probably most likely not going to date one of their fans. And it's shocking to me that people get like genuinely mad about the idols getting in a relationship, or even like not even just like getting mad about idols being in a relationship, but like feeling a sense of betrayal or acting like they kind of abandoned their career by simply getting in a relationship. It is kind of insane. And it's also insane that like a lot of people view these two ideas as mutually exclusive, especially from these are corporations that kind of run these idols, or like or oversee manage these idols. I don't know what the correct terminology for it, but these corporations that are in charge of these idols' image and their branding and their music and their products and their clothes and their jobs and their life and their looks. It's insane. I guess like it's insane to me that they kind of believe that this is something that like is genuinely important. But I once again think it's literally just because they want to sell the most amount of product as humanly possible to the most desperate of fans. And I think it's like a massive thing that kind of is it's kind of, I guess, people, I guess, from what I've seen in, at least the United States, think this is like an unbelievably cringe thing to see. But once again, it's kind of like not the most talked about thing, that this is like a thing that happens. And I feel like it's just absolutely insane that it's seen as like a cultural, not a cultural taboo, an industry taboo if an idol of any sort even mentions the possibility of being in a relationship with someone, and not saying, "Hey, my fans, we might be able to get together." And like, it's not even a full VTuber thing. I literally think it is just genuinely like a corporate VTuber thing. And I think that like corporate VTuber thing kind of bleeds over into just like normal indie VTubers, or indie VTubers, or especially women. As it's kind of like the big thing that it happens on. Particularly women will just mention, even if they're not part of a corporation, they're in a relationship. And I've seen like people them like then posting their fans being like, "Yo, this is just completely unfucking believable. I can't believe you'd betray your favorite fans such as me for being in a relationship." And then there's like 50 of these messages that they get. So like they had 50 favorite fans who all thought that they would be possibly in a relationship with this random VTuber. I think it's just the most insane thing to me at all. And I don't know why it is genuinely developed from the VTuber and like space, and I guess like idol space in general. But because I was gonna say it was also, I was gonna say like it's not even really in content creation, or like it's not really outside world, but it's also like in K-pop idol stuff. I don't know why this is developed specifically in idols, unless like I once again the industry is specifically tailored towards. I guess yeah. I'm literally just answering my own questions as I speak, and it's kind of insane. But this is a bit of a yap session, so if you're just kind of confused on what the fuck I'm saying, I kind of don't know what I'm saying either. But I guess like a large part of this is like these idol companies kind of pushing the idea that anyone could date this just literally really popular celebrity in ways that you don't really see. Like you don't really have much of this anymore in the United States. You know, you had like the boy bands or whatever. You had like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, which the entire idea was just like, oh, look at these attractive young men. You might be able to get in a relationship if you fucking win the lottery or some shit. And I guess that it's kind of just a natural evolution of it, where we've kind of moved away from that in, I guess, the Western space, but it still exists once again in VTubing, and it also exists around the globe in like idol type of stuff. So I think it's just kind of an interesting thing to me that I really never understood, and maybe it's just because I'm a fraudulent LARPer in the VTubing space that I mean you can't even call it doing VTubing. I kind of just happen to interact or like follow a decent amount of VTubers and like know a lot, not know, I know of a lot of them. And so maybe that's what kind of just where my confusion is starting is for why people would one enter these contracts, two people not understand that these idols don't want to date them, and then three corporations would kind of run this idea. But at least I understand the corporation idea because they're just trying to squeeze the most like helpless people out of money, which is kind of an evil thing to do. But what do I expect from these media companies other than being evil? And so, yeah, I mean, it is just an interesting thing that I have known about for a while, that it's been racking my brain for a while about how being in a relationship is sometimes taboo. And I hope that, if I ever become a massive content creator, maybe VTuber, I haven't really litigated that idea yet, because once again, I'm a random guy. Maybe I'll see if people get mad at me for getting in a relationship. It would be kind of funny if they did, and I'd be like, "Guys, you should be proud of me. It's tough out here." And yeah. Anyway, where am I even not talking about anymore? What am I even talking about anymore? I've lost control of the English language, and it's kind of just been a yap session here. And I hope that my confusion has made sense. And if anyone wants to answer any of the questions that I may have proposed in this little rant that I've had going on, go ahead. Maybe I'm just a fucking idiot and I'm dumb, and you can call me that as such. But that's kind of it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.